Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Ready for the class? So let's start with the class, today's class. Yesterday, we have solved one problem on format of balance sheet. So today, we will be solving one more problem, and today you will also be getting some homework. Okay. So yesterday we solved problem number 7, and today we will be today we will be solving problem number 8. So 8 is not that easy problem as it was as we see in problem number 7. So today let's start with problem number 8. From the following trial balance, prepare balance sheet of Star Limited for the year ending 31st March 2018 as per Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Now, in that, first they have given equity share capital. Now, I said you, if you remember the detailed format which I have given you, under share capital, we list two things. One is equity share capital and the other one is preference share capital. So, these two capitals should come under the head share capital. Hence, we need to prepare a working note, because yesterday only I made you clear that whenever there is more than one item, we need to prepare a working note. And next is reserves and surplus, that can be directly taken. Then next is sales. Sales is not an item of balance sheet. It is an item of profit and loss account. Hence, it should not be considered here. Next is other non-current liabilities, that comes under the head non-current liabilities. So directly it can be taken. Next is tangible assets and intangible assets. If you remember, under assets, non-current assets, fixed assets, we have two items, that is small Roman 1 tangible assets and small Roman 2, that is intangible assets. Salaries, printing and stationery, rent, purchases. All the four items relate to statement of profit or loss and not balance sheet. Hence, they should not be considered. Okay, then next is trade receivables, that comes under the head current assets. If you see current assets, under that you will find first item, that is trade receivable. So without wasting time, let's start. First you write in the books of Star Limited. In the books of Star Limited. Next you write balance sheet as on 31st March 2018. Oh, sorry. Before that you write Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Then next you write balance sheet as on 31st March 2018. Balance sheet as on 31st March 2018. After that, you draw columns. On the utmost right, we will put amount column. Left side of that, we will put note number. And next it will be particulars. Okay. If you remember, Naveen, you are making some noise. Better you don't make. Otherwise, I have to call and speak to you. Next is Roman 1. Roman 1. Equity and liabilities. Roman 1, equity and liabilities. Under that, number 1 is shareholders funds. Shareholders funds. Under that, A is share capital. And as we have more than one item, we need to prepare a working note for share capital. That will be working note number 1. Okay, so working note number 1, we can roughly do it. Working note number 1, if we add, you can see preference share capital and equity share capital. When we add, it becomes 2 lakh plus 3 lakh. That is 5. Sorry, it is 8 lakh or 3 lakh?
3 lakh,
Anyone knows?
3
lakh it is. Okay. So 2 lakh plus 3 lakh, it will be
5 lakh.
5 lakhs. Done?
Yes, sir.
Then next is reserves and surplus. We can take that directly. We will do working note once we finish with the problem. Reserves and surplus. The amount is again 3 lakhs. ₹3 lakh. Then next is number 2. That is non-current liabilities. And if you see, under the head non-current liability, usually we have long-term borrowings, but that is not given. Only what he has given is other non-current liabilities. So we will be directly taking that. Other non-current liabilities. So the amount of other non-current liabilities is 2 lakh rupees. 2 lakh rupees. Then number 3. Current liabilities. Anyone tell me which item is listed under current liabilities? Any item we have marked as current liabilities? No. Okay. There are no items. Okay. At that time, what we can do is, in the current liabilities, we put dash. Remember, even though there is no current liability, but still we need to write the main head, that is current liability, and we need to keep it as blank. Don't do a mistake by thinking that as there are no items, better we don't write. Even though there are no items, still you need to write the main head and you need to put it as blank. So once we finish with all the three, what we can do is we can take the total, and that total is 10 lakhs. Okay, so when you take the total, the below line should be made double underline. The reason is it means that there is no continuity of that total. The total ends there only. The next is Roman 2. And the Roman 2 is assets. Roman 2 is assets. And in that asset, number 1 is non-current assets. Non-current assets. And in that, we have A, that is fixed assets. And under that fixed asset, small Roman 1, that is tangible assets. That is tangible assets. And you can see what is the amount of tangible assets?
4 lakh.
The tangible asset is 4 lakh. The tangible asset is 4 lakh. And the next is small Roman 2. That is intangible assets. Intangible assets. And the value of intangible assets is 2,50,000.
50,000.
2,50,000. And after that, there are no other items except there is only one item remaining, that is trade receivables, and that should be taken under the head current assets. So next is number 2. That is current assets. In that, A is trade receivables. Trade receivables. And this trade receivables is 3,50,000. You can see it is at the bottom. At the bottom, you can find trade receivables as 3,50,000. And the total will be
10 lakhs.
again 10 lakhs. Okay, so our balance sheet tallied Roman 1 as well as Roman 2. The total is 10 lakh. And try to write here as total. And even at the bottom also, I don't have flexibility to write. So better you note down at the bottom also as total 10 lakh. Finished?
Yes,
Hope you
sir.
all noted down. If you have noted down, please raise your hand. Okay, let me erase. Until that time, can we go to problem number 10, 9, or otherwise what we will do? We will go to problem number 10 and 9 will be your homework.
Yes,
9
sir.
will be your homework. Please once read the आप लोग खुद read कीजिए, that is problem number 10 and you try to tell me where they should be taken. Shifali, can you read the problem?
Yes, sir.
And try to tell where the head should appear, or the item should appear under what head.
From the following information, prepare balance sheet for Surya Limited for the year ending 31st March 2018 as per Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. So, equity share capital should be taken under the head equity and liabilities in that first shareholders funds and a share capital.
Very good. You can directly tell share capital. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next.
Sir, inventory should not, we shouldn't take that, sir.
What?
Inventory should
Your
be
voice
taken
is not clearly audible. I think the volume is very low. Try to increase the volume of your microphone.
Sir, inventory should be taken under the head current assets. We
Very
already
good.
have that head called inventories.
Yes, yes.
Plant and machinery come under fixed assets. Tangible assets.
Under?
Fixed
Hello?
assets, sir.
Okay. It's not just fixed asset.
Hello?
It comes under the head tangible
It is
assets.
tangible assets.
Okay.
Yes,
Next.
sir. Preference share capital comes under share capital.
Okay. General reserve?
Debentures.
Yes.
So we have debenture redemption reserve.
Right, sorry. Debenture redemption reserve. It comes under the head?
It should come under the head long-term borrowings.
No. It should come under the head reserves and surplus.
Reserves and surplus.
You can note down R and S, that is reserves and surplus. Next, outstanding expenses.
Outstanding expenses should come under the head other current liabilities.
Exactly. Next, proposed dividend.
Proposed dividends.
It should come under the head short-term provisions.
Okay, sir.
Remember, short-term provisions. Okay, next.
Land and buildings again under fixed assets, that is tangible assets.
Very good. Next,
Current investments should come under current assets. Sir, there is already one head known as current investments.
exactly. Very good. Next is
Cash equivalents should come under the head cash and cash equivalents.
right. Next, Short-term loan from Z Limited.
Short term. Current liabilities, sir.
Very good. Current
It's covered in
liabilities
current
under the head
assets.
short-term borrowings. Short-term borrowings. If you look at the first format what I have given you, there is a head called short-term borrowings. Okay, next is public deposit.
Public deposits should come under long-term borrowings.
Very good, long-term borrowing. So let's start solving the problem. So first you write the heading in the books of Surya Limited. Okay, Shreya is asking a question that what is proposed dividend? Remember, you can ask your questions through the chat box also. Proposed dividend, I will tell you what exactly the proposed dividend is. So I need to go little depth in order to make you understand. Remember, in every company, the financial year ends on 31st March. Hope all of you are aware. You can shake your head if you haven't, if you know about it. Yes. Okay. So now, next is, now the financial year ends at 31st March, but the dividend amount will be decided in the month of July or August or September. It depends on when the general meeting will be held. Okay. So but remember, for example, now the previous financial year was 2019 and 20. So 31st March 2020, there was an year end. But on that day, you need to keep an amount aside for dividend, which will be paid in the month of July, August or September. Try to understand. Once again, I am repeating. आपका ईयर एंड हो रहा है 31 मार्च 2020 को. अब डिविडेंड पे करने वाले हो जुलाई 2020 या अगस्त या सितंबर में, लेकिन आपको मालूम भी नहीं है कि वो कितना पैसा होगा. You don't have any idea कि how much dividend the shareholders agree and we propose. You still don't have idea. So, but what you do is, you make an estimation. You propose a dividend ki, oh, this can be the amount of dividend, and let's keep this amount aside of profit, which is used to meet the dividend expenses later on. So that's why it is called as proposed. What is meant by proposed? It has been proposed that this should be the dividend, but still it is not yet accepted by the shareholders. That's why it is called as proposed dividend. So what is the nature of proposed dividend? Like a provision, we are keeping some amount aside out of the profits, which should be utilized for the purpose of paying dividend. That's why proposed dividend is also called as a provision for dividend. So that's why it is listed under the head short-term provisions. Clear, Shreya? Very good. Okay. Now, next. Let's start. So, first put the heading again same. In the books of, you have already written Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. And then balance sheet as on. Balance sheet as on 31st March 2018. 31st March 2018. Now, let's start. Again, I put amount column, note number column. As I have already named the columns, now I will not be naming because I don't have enough space. Can somebody tell me Okay, so that is wonderful question. I think I don't remember who asked it because I could not read the name. The question is, why short-term loan from Z Limited cannot under the head loans and advances, short-term loans and advances? Hope many of you had this doubt. See why it should not be considered under the head short-term loans and advances. Okay, so now the question, the answer is, see, there is short-term borrowings and there is short-term loans and advances. What you need to understand is, one comes under the head liability and the other comes under the head asset. You need to understand the meaning of both. The short-term borrowings means it is the amount you borrowed from others, and short-term loans and advances is the loans and advances which you have given to others. That is called as short-term loans and advances. That is an asset because it is receivable, and borrowing is a liability because it is payable. Okay. So here, what is the item which is given in the problem? It says short-term loan from Z Limited. That means we have borrowed from Z Limited. That means the amount should be given back to them. So it is a liability. So it cannot come under the asset. So if you take that under the head current asset, it means that the amount is receivable, but whereas the amount is payable. Hence, it should be considered under the head short-term borrowings and not short-term loans and advances. Hope you are clear. Okay, done. Next is, and one more question that was asked by Mansi. Mansi asked that why debenture redemption reserve should be taken under the head reserves and surplus. Remember, all the reserves and surplus should be taken under the head reserves and surplus. So that's why debenture redemption reserve, being a reserve, should be taken under the head reserves and surplus. Okay. Next. Now, let's start. First thing which we need to take is Roman 1. Roman 1, it is equity and liabilities. Equity and liabilities. Then, next is number 1, share holders funds. Underline them. In that A, share capital. Share capital. See, as there are two items, there is equity as well as preference. We need to put working note number 1. Okay. So just try to add both and check what will be the result. 20 plus 12. I think 32 lakhs.
2 lakhs.
32 lakhs. Later on, we will do a working note here. That is number 1, share capital. Okay. Next, B, reserves and surplus. Under reserves and surplus, there is only one item, that is debenture redemption reserve, which will be 6 lakh. Next, number 2, non-current liabilities. Under that, A is, I think there is public deposits.
No, sir.
Whether the problem has public deposits?
Yes, sir.
What is the amount?
Yes, sir.
Amount?
12 lakh.
12 lakh.
Very good. The amount is 12 lakhs. And I think apart from this, there is no other non-current liability. It has no debenture. Okay, so then let's move ahead and start with number 3. That is current liabilities. Okay, under current liabilities, the first item we will be seeing is proposed dividend. There is an item called proposed dividend that comes under the head A, short-term provisions. Short-term provisions, and this amount is 5 lakh. Short-term provision is 5 lakh. And the next is B, short-term borrowings.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
under non-current liabilities, a public deposit, the heading should be long-term borrowings, no sir?
Sorry. I made a mistake, right? So instead of writing public deposits, you write here long-term borrowings. Long-term borrowings. Okay, next. Now, there is short-term borrowing. What is the amount of short-term borrowing? 4 lakh rupees. 4 lakhs. And the last one, hope you are seeing, there is an item called other, outstanding expenses. You are able to see?
Yes sir.
आउटस्टैंडिंग एक्सपेंसेस बोल के एक आइटम है, आप देख सकते हैं. प्रपोज डिविडेंड के ऊपर है, देखिए.
Yes sir.
अदर करंट liabilities and the amount is 3 lakhs. Okay, we finished with all the liabilities. So what can be the total? 32 plus 6, 38, 40, 50, 55, 59, 62 lakhs.
62.
Check once.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Getting 62 lakhs.
2 lakhs.
So it is total. That is 62 lakhs. Understood this?
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, next, let's start with Roman 2, that is assets. Hope you have noted down.
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
If you have not noted down, please mention it in the chat box so that I can wait. Okay, we are running out of time, so that's why I'm erasing. Okay, Roman 2, assets. Roman 2, assets, and under that, number 1 is non-current assets. Non-current assets, and under non-current assets, you have A, fixed assets, and under that fixed asset you have small Roman 1, that is tangible assets, and this will be working note number 2, because in tangible assets we have 2 items. One is plant and machinery, and plant and machinery is how much? 10 lakh, and
10 lakh.
land and building is 20
20
lakhs.
lakh.
So together it will be
30 lakh.
okay 30 lakhs, and you can show that here in working note. That is working note number 2. You can name it as tangible assets. Next is, are there any intangible assets?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Then we can go for B. B is, can you tell me what can be B? There is an item. Fast. Okay, there are no items, no items. Okay, so then we can directly go for number 2, that is current assets. Is there any item named other current assets, other non-current assets? No, it is not available in the
sir.
problem. So directly we can go for current assets, and under that current assets, the first one is inventories. What is the amount of inventory?
14 lakhs. 14 lakhs. 14
The
lakhs.
inventory is 14 lakh. Next is B. B, we have current investments, right?
Yes, sir.
Current investments. What is the amount of current investments?
8 lakhs.
8 lakh. And the last one is C.
Cash and cash equivalents.
Even though he has given cash equivalents, we have to write the full name, that is cash and cash equivalents. What is the amount?
10 lakhs, sir.
Yes, 10 lakh.
10 lakhs.
Yes, 10 lakh. And now you can take the total. That is 62 lakhs. You can find the total of Roman 1 was also same. That is 62 lakhs. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, share capital. If you make a working note, I'm writing it in short. First, you have to take preference share capital, then you have to take equity share capital. And preference share capital is 10 lakhs. And equity share capital is 20 lakhs. And the total will be 30 lakhs. Okay. And working note number 2 will be tangible assets. First you have to take plant and machinery. Then next you have to take land and building.